What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the Fantasy Football Clowns. I'm your host, Meej, and today we're talking injuries, and I'm just going to jump right in. Number 1, Travis Etienne. I mean, last night goes down. We're upset. We're upset about it. Everyone's upset about it. We're hearing that it's going to be a mid-foot sprain, and I have some information to hopefully help you guys out. This is similar to the Chris Carson injury last season, in which he missed 4 weeks, so I'd expect that to be a similar timetable for Etienne. From a fantasy perspective, try not to overreact to this news, because the immediate thought is, wow, James Robinson's going to get a lot of receiving work now from the backfield. But that might not be the case. I'd actually expect to see more receiving work from guys like Laviska Shenault, who we saw last season line up in the running back position and run several routes. I just think we'd probably see more work for the receivers other than James Robinson and Carlos Hyde. I'd guarantee that there would be some more work for them, but I don't think it's going to be as much as people are thinking. And I wouldn't expect James Robinson to become a workhorse running back should Etienne be out for longer than week 1 or 2. Next up, the Lions head coach is worried about DeAndre Swift being ready for week 1. Now, first thing we can gather from this is that DeAndre Swift definitely won't be 100% for week 1. Guaranteed. It's off the table. But what does this mean for guys like Jamal Williams in the Lions backfield? What does this mean for his ADP? I wouldn't say it would affect DeAndre Swift's ADP too much. He'll maybe drop around in late drafts, but I wouldn't really change my opinion on Swift. I'm a big fan of DeAndre Swift, but I could understand why you would, because he does have some injury concerns, and I definitely think you got to monitor this injury, because if the coach is worried about it, we should be worried about it. And another thing is, Jamal Williams could have a bigger role than expected. I mean, he's been a career 120 to 150 touch guy. It's not like he's not getting touches. So he could get even more work. And there have been some reports recently of them maybe going in a running back by committee, which could be a huge deal for the situation, obviously. I mean, I would consider taking Jamal Williams in drafts after this news, just because of the timeshare, the injury to Swift. He won't be 100%. The coach is worried. But the problem with that is that the Lions aren't even that good of an offense to begin with. I mean, they lost Marvin Jones. They lost Kenny Golladay. There's several targets there to be picked up. And that's why I'm pretty big on TJ Hawkinson. But to get back to the point, I do believe Jamal Williams will have a bigger role than expected, and the overall news for DeAndre Swift is I wouldn't be too worried about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't handling a full workload for the first 3 weeks. And another injury, our last injury that we will be discussing today, Darrell Henderson, thumb sprain. Now, some people will probably react to me like, oh my god, Rams running backs can't stay healthy. They aren't wrong. But thumb sprain, this is an injury that Drew Brees had a couple seasons ago, and he required surgery for it. I don't believe this is the case for Darrell Henderson, as the problem with Brees was he couldn't stabilize his thumb. But I think Darrell Henderson is okay. We're obviously going to learn more about it before the season starts, but the Rams running backs are looking quite shaky right now just because of all the injuries and all the things happening. But I would expect him to be ready for week 1, as he's currently considered day-to-day. But moving on from that is that the Rams appeared to be all in on Darrell Henderson, and that's basically why his ADP has shot up in the recent weeks. Reports from ESPN state that he's going to be very valuable towards the beginning of the season as they try to establish the run game to help Matt Stafford, and this could make him a major asset in fantasy this season. He's got a decent ADP. I've seen him going in rounds 4 to 6 sometimes. I mean, you're gambling when you take him, right? He hasn't had a lot of work in the backfield. We've seen him limited action last season. It was supposed to be a committee this season with Akers, and I would honestly feel quite comfortable taking Darrell Henderson as my RB2 or as my flex or something of that sort. And this is just because the Rams are such a high-powered offense under a great offensive head coach. I mean, you hear a lot of good stuff about Sean McVay. I mean, we're not going to learn too much in the preseason. I mean, Sean McVay, there's a 0% chance you'll ever see Matt Stafford take a snap in the preseason. Things like that, but I'm quite okay with taking Darrell Henderson, and I don't think you guys should be too worried about him injury-wise. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'd really appreciate it if you guys left a like, consider subscribing, help me grow the channel, help me get better equipment, all kinds of stuff. You guys know the drill. And I'm going to try and keep you guys updated. Thanks for tuning in.